Hey y'all, it's Rob. Just thought I'd come out here on Saturday morning. Actually, it's Saturday closer to noon right now, but just figured I'd give you a quick look at the garden and just talk about a couple of fast things here. Seen a couple of videos in the last day or two that got me thinking about some things, but just thought I'd show. I don't know if y'all remember when I was talking about my rain barrels and getting them set up. I showed a little look at the garden, and it wasn't much to look at. There wasn't much here, but since then we've had rain and a bunch of it. For us, it's a bunch of it. Some people in other parts of the country will think it's not a big deal. But we had 4 or 5 inches in July, and then since the 1st of August, we've had a little over 7 inches, and that's just enormous for us, and it's been good. You can tell everything's a lot greener here now, and even looking out across the road there at the cotton over there, my neighbor's cotton is looking real good. But while we're looking that way, I'll show, this is for Bug Out Brad. And in the sunlight, I can't hardly see the screen on this thing, so it's hard to know where I'm looking. But Brad, this is my firewood pile right here. We don't have, if you can notice, there's not a lot of trees around here, and so we wind up with other stuff. This is a bunch of pallet wood, which is mostly good oak wood, along with some pine that somebody took apart. And then, of course, the rest of the wood over here, a lot of construction scraps and things like that, and some wood I brought back from when we were out camping before. That's the kind of wood I used to cut and sell. Now, Dad on YouTube was talking a little earlier about marauders, and I've got marauders, and there's one of them right there. And I'm telling you what, those guys, I love having the fresh eggs, and I love having chickens, because having a bunch of chickens running around just means we've got, I guess you could call it a source of food that is good to have. But they'll get in a garden and just shred the things. That's why I've got this little bit of a fence around it like I do. And they still get in, but right now there's not as much to attract them. But I'm starting to get some tomatoes. I've been getting a lot of good squash. This year I've got yellow crookneck squash in, and it has been doing nicely. I've got a couple in here that are, there we go, there's one there. It'll be ready tomorrow or the next day. I've gathered several. They're really good on the grill. Or I'll tell you something that's good if you don't know about it. You can chop up yellow squash pretty small and scramble it in with your eggs. Kind of saute the squash with a little bit of onion and scramble eggs in with them, and it is pretty yummy. I've replanted some, not replanted, but planted some winter squash right there. That'll be coming up. I say coming up, it's up. It'll be putting on something, hopefully. We've still got time. Mid-August, we're not going to get our first freeze until probably the first part of November, so everything's still got time to do some good. I got some little okras that I replanted. Maybe they'll come up and do something. Something I was going to show you hanging right there that I use. This is a mesh wire that's used for construction. They'll put it on a wall or a ceiling, and then they'll stucco over it, and it gives the stucco something to hold to. It's made of aluminum, but it's great for hail screening when my garden's little, or to keep the marauders out of it, to put it over the top of stuff, and it lets the sun through and gives the plants time to grow. And then if I need to, I can even stretch it across the top. I had a frame built up here, but the winds, Panhandle Prepper knows about this, the winds we get up here in this part of the world, 60, 70 mile an hour straight line winds that'll last for a few minutes are not uncommon. And it just rips stuff up. So anyway, that's something that hadn't gotten the attention I need to give it. I need to rebuild it. I've still got all the boards. I just need to put it back together. I was talking to somebody about plowing snow the other day. That's the truck I used to plow snow with. That's a 1990 model truck, and it don't look like much. But it's got close to 500,000 miles on it. Probably over 500,000 by now. Still the original motor. That truck has been almost as far south as you can go in Florida, and it's been north of the Arctic Circle. I got my money's worth out of that one. And I can tell you, that rascal right there is a running son of a gun. It will get up over 100 miles an hour before you know it. And I can personally guarantee that pickup right there drove from Abilene, Texas to Dallas, Texas with an average speed of 145 miles an hour one time down the interstate. And I'm not going to say who was driving it, but there were times it was pushing probably 165 to 170. It probably wasn't a good idea. The tires probably weren't rated for that speed. And I probably, whoever was driving probably shouldn't have had their grandmother and their little brother in the pickup then too, but they made really good time getting what was normally about a 3.5 hour trip only took about an hour and 20 minutes. So it wasn't all bad. Anyway, like I say, just thought I'd show you the garden doing good. Oh, I was going to show you one thing. Sometimes, and somebody may have some better ideas on this kind of stuff, but sometimes tomato plants develop what are called suckers or new growth. You can see like little tomato plants trying to come off from the main stem. This one right here has one of those, and I'm going to take this guy loose right down in there, like that. And when I pull it out, now you can see, maybe you can see, I can't see looking in the camera, but where is it? There we go. Right there on the tip end of it, you can see some little nodules that will turn into roots if I can get this guy in some water and some dirt and maybe grow another little tomato plant out of this. These two plants right here are called Amish paste. Those 3 in the corner over there are Cherokee purples. They make really good tomatoes. Those two right there are a variety I've never grown before. They're called German lunchbox. And they've got some little tomatoes on them, and they look like they're going to be some tasty little guys. You can kind of see them down in there. Got a couple more down there. It's putting on quite a few, but because it was so dry for so long, everything's way behind where it should be. Sometimes it's hard to put enough water down. And these tomatoes right here are probably my favorites. There's a couple there turning red. I've picked a couple already. But this is a variety of tomato that my great-grandmother and great-granddad planted back in the 19-teens and the 1920s. And our family has been collecting the seeds and saving the seeds and replanting them every year since then and keeping this variety alive. They make that's about how big the tomato is. You can see not a lot bigger than my thumb. We don't really know. I swear this light shining on this camera lens is giving me fits, but they're about a little bit bigger than my thumb, and they make a really yummy, tasty tomato. And I'm telling you, in my dad's front flower bed, there's a spot where for the last 30 years, some seeds accidentally got spilled out there one time. And they have been coming up on their own. They're called volunteer when they come up on their own. Every year, regrowing the plants and getting spread around there. So every year there's 8 or 12 plants that come up right there and make really good tomatoes. They just naturally do that. Anyway, like I say, thought I'd share that with you. Hey, if any of y'all want any of those seeds, I'm happy to share seeds, especially these guys right here. I sent some to Staff Sergeant Sippy. And I don't know if they had a chance to grow them. They already had their garden in, but you know, if you're interested in some of those seeds, let me know. We'll figure out a way to get you some. I've got some still put up, and with a little luck, going to have a bunch more. So that's about it. Talk to y'all later.